Welcome to Flagship Studios. I'm here with Lovisa Afzelius, Flagship Pioneering Origination Partner and CEO of Apriori Bio. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Why don't we start out with talking about Apriori? Tell us about the company.
Absolutely, happy to. So, Apriori Bio, we actually started thinking about Apriori before even the pandemic, because we were, looking back at the last 10 years or so, and we saw that every single year there had been an outbreak that could just as well have led to a pandemic. But yet we were completely unprepared. So we started, how do we actually prepare ourselves for the future? Because it's not a question of if it's going to happen, it's just when it's going to happen. But we also looked upon what others were doing, and we just realized that there is a lot that needs to be done, because right now the kind of activities that are ongoing are, for example, trying to predict 1 out of 10 to the order of 20 different variants that could occur, and that's a really tall order. Or hunting after, as we're doing now, very reactively, there is a new variant, we respond to it. So we said, what if we instead take a step back and say, what is the most optimal antibody repertoire that we need to have in order to be able to protect ourselves towards both today's but also future variants? And if we can do so, then we can also start to develop variant-proof vaccines and antibodies. And that's sort of the core of what Apriori Bio does.
You had the foresight to conceive of the company well ahead of the pandemic, but you launched last year in 2022. Tell us what's happened since that time.
So we are building out our pipeline. We have done a lot of work in SARS-CoV-2 because we have also a lot of data coming in all the time and instantly as we're working. But we're also expanding across flu and other what we call ultra-dynamic viruses, these types of viruses that can continue to change and change and change. And now we're in the position where we are more actively reaching out for partnerships, both towards the more private and public sector, because there's just so much work that needs to be done.
That's incredible. And just thinking, like taking a step back and thinking of the bigger picture, what does the future of global health security look like now, and what role do you see Apriori Bio playing in that?
That's a very good question, because I think we have seen now in this environment that we are not prepared, and it will be interesting to see how the world chooses to prepare for the future. But as such, we also want to be part of shaping that future, because we want to, in addition to building variant-proof vaccines and antibodies, we also want to see what can we do on a more social impact aspect. So working together with those that are sequencing, working at sequences of variants around the world, those that are applying epidemiology to understand spread. How can we apply our tools at Apriori Bio to help understand the risk of a new variant that comes out? Because if we can combine those different aspects, we can build almost like a hurricane alert system, but in the context of pandemic preparedness, where we can, for any new sequence that come out, we could give a risk assessment as to, do we need to lock down? Or is this actually something that doesn't seem to impact us so much? And we believe that that would be immensely impactful for our society, to be able to be much more precise in our reaction to how these variants emerges.
Yes, this company really has the potential of such an impact, both in terms of health and socially on a global scale. And you must be building a team, a big team to tackle this problem and really harness the solution that Apriori brings. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to work at Apriori Bio and your culture?
We are working really hard to always think about the culture of the company, how we can bring in diversity, how we can bring in, and that's diversity in many different aspects. It's diversity in finding those that are very passionate about the biology, those that are very passionate about computation, but have the ability to fluently work across those two boundaries and are excited about bringing that diversity to the table. But also diversity with regards to gender, with regards to backgrounds, etc. And we work very diligently to try to do so. And it takes a lot of work because it will never just be there. And we engage very deeply with everyone in the company to hear their opinions of what really matters to them and what makes Apriori a great place to be at, but also how everyone can be their best version of themselves in that environment. And I think that I'm very passionate about it myself, and I'm very happy to see how everyone sort of comes together towards such joint goals as the culture goals that we have.
That's great. And we're here at JPM at Flagship talking about bigger leaps, the bigger leaps Flagship has made, and just would love to hear what big leaps you see ahead for Apriori in the next 3-5 years.
I mean, imagine a world where the second there is a new virus emerging, we would literally program our platform to be able to understand the totality of that potential variant space and instantly start to generate vaccines that are truly variant proof, or therapeutics that are truly variant proof, so that when the threat is there, we're already prepared. So instead of taking off on these shock waves of pandemics, we can instill it already from the very beginning and ensure that it just doesn't spread as such. And I think that dampening before there is an impact, that's what we're seeking to do. And I think we could live a much more protected life towards these viral threats if we have the preparedness to actually be able to do so.
Right. It's an incredibly big leap, and Apriori is a company that is certainly of the moment and of this moment and of the
Yes.
future at the same time. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much, Laurie.